This is another edition of Reasonably Nerdy, right here with Generally Nerdy. This one has to do with Mastodon. We got to get a little reasonable because of some things that have come out in the news recently about my boys from down south. So our next piece has to do with Mastodon and kind of Disturbed and also metal injection. So Mastodon, guitar player, vocalist Brent Hines did an interview recently, something he is not generally allowed to do on behalf of the band for reasons we're about to get into. So Brent in this interview said some things that were interpreted as homophobic. I didn't write down the exact thing that he said, but basically he called music that Disturbed makes and music and people who listen to that kind of music the F word, the F word that we're not supposed to say. So it wasn't received very well, though I haven't seen a whole lot of backlash from the actual community, just from the journalists who cover the community. So, I mean, that I should be noted, I suppose. And this is what I was talking about. All right, so let's put our reasonably nerdy hats on real quick. So, a man like Brent Hines, we already know is kind of a douchebag. So I am going to, out the gate, put these guys on blast. I honestly, personally, I don't care. I don't take offense to the things anyone says about me specifically, or the music I listen to. But I don't care that he used this slur per se. Yes, it is something that a fair amount of listeners take offense to, and that should have been taken into consideration before he said such things. But also, he was using an epithet, regardless of what the epithet was, he was using an epithet for a large portion of his fans. And I think that's the thing that he didn't realize. The metal community is very incestuous in such a way that we listen to pretty much everything. Brent is something of a music snob. The other guys in the band I have known to be similar, but not to the same degree. Brent Hines, though, is very much a music snob, very much looks down on music he sees as lesser. I remember very specifically him talking about going to interrupt a Korn interview when they were somehow on the same bill, or maybe they were across town from Korn. I can't remember the specifics, but he was going to basically just act like a total asshole to the guys in Korn and hope they didn't realize he was making fun of them because he thought that would be funny. When honestly, the people who listen to his music probably have been listening to Korn for a good decade longer than Mastodon has even been in existence. So, reasonable thing here is Brent Hines is an asshole. He obviously does not speak for the rest of the band, as when it was voiced that these things were said and there was an issue here, the rest of the band went, whoa, 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 whoa. Brent does not speak for the rest of us. We don't let him do interviews, generally speaking, and this is why. The other reason being, I don't want to be in a metal band is something that he has legitimately said in an interview. It was like 8 years ago, but still, like, these are things that Brent Hines does in interviews, and he shows up drunk to public appearances. He is not a great representation of not just the band, but the community as a whole, because he is a music snob and a douchebag, and probably has a lot of personal issues that he needs to work through on his own. So, reasonable thing here is probably don't let your asshole guitar player do interviews, but also, on the other side of things, understand that Brent Hines is an asshole. He's gonna say things that are going to piss you off because he's an asshole. So if you like the music, don't let the asshole be the one that ruins it for you. And then from there, we're past the asshole now. I have to give a little bit of props to Metal Injection, because they're leaving room. They're not trying to get people to stop listening to Mastodon. They're not trying to get people to lynch Brent Hinds in the streets because he said a thing that they disagree with or because he said a thing that they deem offensive. They are leaving room for him to grow as a person, and that is amazing. This is the first time I have seen a big publication like this leave room for change. They said, I'm definitely not quoting, but they said something along the lines of, if he realizes what he's done is wrong, I don't see why he can't be forgiven, and we can all move on from this. And that is the best thing to take away from all of this. This has been yet another edition of Reasonably Nerdy. If you agree that the conclusions I have come to are reasonable, then definitely hit that thumbs up button. Let the algorithm gods know that you love what's going on here, because I love you. I know it sounded corny, but whatever. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.